Become comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's one of the phrases that I got taught as a young adult. I think I was probably like 7 to 12 years old, and I was wrestling. And one of the coaches, they told me, learn to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. Now, what does that actually mean? Because it's a cute phrase, right? What it means is learning to be in a state of uncomfort and enjoy it. Whenever you're developing a new habit, whenever you're developing a new way of living, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable because you don't have a understanding of why you're doing it, right? So if your purpose isn't clear, then being uncomfortable is so uncomfortable that you won't push through the uncomfort. But if there is a purpose and you are clear on what it is that you want to achieve, then you'll learn to be comfortable in those uncomfortable states. There are many uncomfortable situations that I purposely put myself in now so that I can continue to be comfortable. All of them are aligned with a clear outcome that I have written down. They say that writing out your outcome, repeating it to yourself, increases the odds because it's so clear. In order to be clear, you have to understand what it is that you want. And by what you want, I mean you. Not what you were told to want, not what those around you want, but what you want. I was doing an exercise with one of the coaches that I had hired, and I get why people don't like going to coaches, because this guy promised one thing but did another. It is what it is. The law of negative lifestyle says that you cannot take from somebody and think that you're going to produce a positive outcome on your own. Like you can't do that. So that's why I don't worry about getting back at him, because all right, cool. It'll come back around when it comes back around. What I will say though is that in one of the tasks that he had me do, I had to break down some outcomes, some things that I wanted. Doing that task was very difficult because a lot of the stuff that I was inputting into this chart that I have for outcomes that I want, they weren't actually outcomes that I wanted. They were outcomes that people told me to have. For instance, one of the outcomes was an orphanage in a different country and be able to support it. I didn't have an emotional connection to that, so I started digging into why do I think that this is something that I want. Turns out one of my family members has always been driving that point home. Like that's one of their wants. It's a great want, right? It sounds cute. It's awesome, but it's not my want. And because it's not my want, then I cannot have the emotional attachment to it that I need to get it done. My want is having 7 suits that are custom made for me. I got an emotional attachment to that. I want 7 pairs of shoes nicely made from this place in Italy so that I can feel like royalty. That's what I want. I want multiple homes in multiple countries. So I have an emotional attachment to that. Now a lot of society likes to say, well, that's just all for you. No, it's not. Having this emotional outcome attached to it allows me to display to others a certain style of living so that I can accomplish things that seem impossible, which in turn allows me to serve them. Because they're going to ask, well, how'd you do that? And then guess what? I get to teach. I get to give them some sort of value. Achieving that portion of it is beneficial to me because I can help more people when I can attract more people. I don't like listening to a fat doctor. It's just what it is. You don't listen to somebody about finances who's willing to put you on a payment plan. It is what it is. When I was using, I wouldn't listen to somebody who had never used drugs. I remember having individuals with no experience in shooting up try to tell me how to stop shooting up. And I'd laugh at them because you've never done it, so how am I supposed to listen to you? When there was individuals who had taught me, who were giving me insights, who had lived through it, I listened. Because I knew not only did they have facts to back up what they were saying, but they probably had an emotional connection to that outcome. You see, the difference between individuals who just speak and individuals who have lived it is that there's not an emotional attachment. And to teach somebody how to create that emotional attachment is really one of the keys. So, for me to have these suits and not have the orphanage is more of an emotional connection because I can get that feeling. There's something that comes on me when I talk about it, when I think about it, when I put it in my mind. I can see who I am. Suited up, tatted up, clean, big, driving nice cars. And I know that will attract individuals who will listen because they want the same outcomes. And not only will they want the same outcomes, but they may have started from where I started and haven't been able to figure it out. Ideally, when I was younger, what I wanted to do, I wanted to be the individual that could sit down with some of the toughest gangbangers out there, sit down with some of the toughest prisoners out there, as well as be able to sit down at an executive table. In my head, that's what I want. I want to be able to sit down with the most highly respected people on both sides of the track and still have my voice heard. I took the wrong approach to it. I thought in order to be tough, I had to do some dumb things. When I learned later that in order to be tough, I have to restrain myself from doing a lot of dumb things. And by restraining myself from doing a lot of dumb things, I actually gain respect from both sides of the track. There's receipts that need to be shown. In order to get a receipt, you have to do what it is that you want. Because you have the emotional attachment to it. Without that emotional attachment, you're not going to achieve it. Therefore, on my list of things, there's now items that only I want. I don't care what anybody thinks about it. I don't care if people say, well, that's not going to help society. I don't care. Because that's not their emotional attachment to it. I know that if I can display certain things, I can show certain receipts, i.e. material things that I have, then individuals will listen. And I know that I don't give false information because I lived the things that I talk about. So if I can do it, then I can teach somebody else how to do it. It's up to them to actually put the rubber on the road, to actually do the steps, but I can teach it, and I know I can teach it. I've taught it to individuals who are in Nigeria. I've taught it to individuals who are in Canada. I've taught it to individuals all across the United States because I believe it. I lived it. I know it's facts. Have you ever wondered why certain artists blow up and other artists don't? Have you ever wondered why certain artists have a sustained living and continually produce top product while there's other artists who just put one-hit wonders out? One actually lived what they speak about. The other talks about things they think about. I'm going to be an individual that will speak on things that I've lived. If I don't know it, then I won't show it. I won't act like I do. I'll just keep it. I'll keep to myself and I'll learn. But if I do know it, then I will speak on it and I will have facts and evidence to prove it. The only reason why I'll be able to do that is because I have a clear idea in my head of what I want.